Hello, my name is Richard Herring,
My name is Abdul.
and this is Sight on Screen.
Today we watched Ghost in a Shell.
Ghost in the Shell.
No, it's Ghost in a Shell.
Oh, is it?
I'm pretty sure.
Ghost in a Shell. No, you're
Yes,
probably
it's
right.
Ghost in... No, it's The Shell.
Ghost in the Shell. Look at me, I'm vindicated.
Pretty sure it's Ghost in a Shell, but whatever.
It's Ghost in the Shell on this movie. So, as you can probably tell, we're talking about the live-action remake
The live-action remake of Ghost in the Shell
from 2017.
2017. Based off of the animated movie.
Yep.
The Japanese animated movie in 1995 by the same name.
Yep.
And Standalone Complex, which was the TV series, also animated, which was released a few years after in the 2000s.
Yeah, I mean, and let's be clear. You are the expert on this, really? Because
I wouldn't call myself an expert.
Compared to me.
I've seen it once.
I've
all
seen
of it,
yeah.
but once.
I've only seen the original 1995 animated film. That's my entire exposure to any of it at
Which
all.
is a fantastic film.
It's a great film. It's a really good film.
Yeah, and this movie, well, we're talking about this because Black Widow is coming out soon, and Scarlett Johansson, or how we've decided to call her,
ScarJo.
The 1920s mobster.
Hey, it's ScarJo.
So there's this guy, see? He owes me money, eh?
Yeah. I'm gonna go tell ScarJo I gotta owe him his money. I don't know why we sound like that guy from Home Alone.
Joe Pesci.
Not Joe Pesci, the thing in the video.
Yeah. I'm gonna count to 10.
Gonna
1, 2, 10.
Yeah. Now I just want to see Scarlett Johansson with a Tommy gun.
Yeah, we almost get that here. It's close enough.
We have some moments.
Yeah, she does have that duster at one point.
She does have a duster, but only Takeshi can have the six-shooter.
Yes, Takeshi, or as he's credited in this movie, beat Takeshi Kitano.
Takeshi Kitano is a fantastic name.
It is
It's just a straight-up badass name. But anyway, so yeah, Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah, Black Widow coming out soon.
Because other than the Marvel movies, you'll have to correct me here if I'm wrong, but she hasn't done a lot of, like, action films.
Yeah, she did Lucy, which was also an action movie.
Well, I wouldn't...
It's very much like this, where it has a lot of action, but it's not really an action movie.
No, it's not really an action movie.
I would say this is better than Lucy, at the very least.
Yeah, no, okay, I'll agree with that. Yeah,
Lucy has way too many inconsistencies.
Lucy's weird.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. Yeah, so, I mean, we talked about... Yeah, I think this is probably the closest, other than, her as Black Widow in the Marvel movies, this is probably the closest precursor we can find for what a Black Widow movie is going to be like.
At least action-wise.
Yeah.
Because this came out in 2017, so clearly after she was cast as Black Widow.
Oh, yeah.
She was, at least like her action scenes were first introduced in the second Iron Man movie. I don't know if she makes an appearance in the first one. I don't think so.
She doesn't.
Samuel Jackson does, but not her.
Yeah, no, her introduction as Black Widow, Natasha Romanoff is in Iron Man 2.
Yeah, and she has a really, really cool action scene there. And I have to be completely honest. My favorite action sequences in the Marvel movies has been, for the most part, Black Widow's.
Interesting.
Yeah, because she has a very unique fighting style in those movies. It's a mix between jiu-jitsu, obviously, a little bit of judo, some very fancy like wrestling moves, where she then converts the wrestling move into a jiu-jitsu move.
Yeah.
But then she also uses KC, which is a relatively new fighting form. You can see it in Batman Begins and The Dark Knight.
Oh, that stuff. Yeah.
I know
what we're talking about.
It's sort of a mix between boxing and other like Krav Maga and that kind of stuff. Where what you do is you have the same principle in boxing, where you're covering your head at all time.
It's a lot of CQC, right?
You're covering your head at all time, and then So actually, the best like analog I can find is European sword fighting, like HEMA.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Because there you're trained to guard and strike at the same time. You want minimal movements with most lethality and most guarding, and so all your movements are based on that. Which is why when you see sword fighting in movies, it's so bizarre because they do all these flips and things and the twists and the spinning, which is just insane.
Yep.
European sword fighting isn't really based on that stuff. So yeah, KC kind of takes that principle where you're always guarding and you want to have fast, powerful moves that go straight for like pressure points while maintaining guards.
Okay.
So he uses a lot of hammer fists and a lot of moving, crunching your body basically.
Yeah, the Bale moves because he's doing a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, he does that in Batman. I think the first Jack Reacher, at least. I'm not sure. He does.
No,
does
it a
little bit.
No, what Jack Reacher's doing is the same thing that John Wick is doing, which is CQC, which is American military close quarters combat.
Yeah. KC is sort of derived from all that.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. It sounds quite similar, but CQC is a little bit more flowy and smooth looking than KC is, at least on film.
Well, if you compare it with Batman Begins, you have to remember that he's wearing the suit, which is like 30 pounds.
Which is kind of why they chose that fighting technique, I believe, because it's like, what can he do while wearing like...
Well, actually, if you see like professionals do it, it's way smoother. It actually is very similar to what you see in Jack Reacher. So Natasha Romanoff has that fighting style, which is really cool and unique. There's a lot of grappling, a lot of powerful hammer fist moves. And those were always the most entertaining for me. Even in like the Captain America Winter Soldier, I believe.
Oh yeah, no, I like Winter Soldier.
Yeah, Winter Soldier is a good movie.
That's one of the Marvel films I can get behind.
Yeah, and it has a lot of cool like hand-to-hand action scenes. But again, Black Widow is usually my favorite parts of those.
Yeah, that's fair enough, I guess.
Yeah, I really like.
I mean, you're a bigger fan of Scarlett Johansson than I am in general, I think.
Which is maybe, but which is kind of weird because I didn't like her when I was younger at all. I thought she was way overrated.
Okay. Yeah. The fact that you've changed that opinion means that we're gonna have a conversation now. But okay,
sure.
I'm on board.
I did not like her when I was younger at all. I thought, I thought she was really overrated. But then I saw Under the Skin.
Yeah, she is very good in that.
Yeah, and that completely changed my mind. I saw that, and then after that I watched Lost in Translation, which I hadn't seen before.
Yeah, she is very good in that, actually.
And she was really young then, so that completely changed my view on her.
Good old Bill Murray.
I know, I love Bill Murray.
It's such a great movie. Best. But I mean, here's the thing. For me, Scarlett Johansson falls into... There's a couple of actors who generally speaking, I'm not the biggest fans of, but I think they work really well in certain types of roles. And Scarlett Johansson, for me, is pitch perfect the same as Ryan Gosling.
Okay.
Same thing, where it's like, when they're trying to do standard acting roles, I'm usually just uninterested. I don't feel there's a lot going on. It feels kind of boring, and it feels a little bit, single note, very monotone. But when you put them in a character that is meant to be a bit emotionally distanced, devoid, closed off, like someone who is whatever he is in Drive.
Whatever he is in Drive.
I don't know what he is in that movie, but he's certainly a something.
He's something, yeah.
Or Blade Runner 2049.
Blade Runner, Ides of March. He's really good.
Yeah, but again, he does those kind of roles really well, and I think Scarlett Johansson does those kind of roles really well.
Yeah, like slightly idiosyncratic roles.
Yeah, slightly kind of. The character by necessity is hard to read.
Yeah,
and the second you throw that element in, it works so much better.
Yeah, and again, even after I'd seen her, so I saw her in Under the Skin. She was a fantastic movie, right? And then last year, Marriage Story, which I don't think you managed to watch
yet. I know.
I told you to watch it before today.
You told me to watch it.
You have betrayed me for the last time.
No, I have not. I will betray you many times more.
Good God. But yeah, so I saw Marriage Story, which is also, I mean, that kind of goes with and against what you're saying, because the character on paper is very conventional, but the way she portrays it is very unconventional.
Well, this is, again, Ryan Gosling with Nice Guys.
Yeah, there you go.
Because that's him doing way out of left field, like a comedy sad sack thing.
Yeah.
But he finds a way of communicating that through this kind of paradigm thing he has going on. And from what I've heard, Scarlett Johansson does exactly the same kind of thing in Marriage Story.
Yeah, her and Adam Driver are just absolutely
and
insane.
That's the thing. It's kind of like, I think Scarlett Johansson is a good actress who requires good casting.
Good casting, good directing.
Yeah, she can't walk into any project and make it better. She is going to work with what you give her, and if you give her the right role and the right director, she can be great. Mm-hmm. And I think that's just kind of... That isn't to say she's a bad actress, it just means that she has her thing.
Yeah.
Because not every actor or actress can be Gary Oldman or Charlize Theron. Not all of them can just do this turn on a dime, put themselves in a situation thing.
You probably want to eat those words if you've seen the movie Tiptoes.
Tiptoes?
Tiptoes.
Qu'est-ce que c'est Tiptoes?
Qu'est-ce que c'est Tiptoes? Well, I'll tell you what Tiptoes is.
Oh,
it's
I've never heard of it.
Early 2000s, supposed to be a rom-com, but more drama.
Oh no!
About it stars Matthew McConaughey, Patricia Arquette, Kate Beckinsale, and Gary Oldman. But here's the twist: as the trailer says, in a role of a lifetime, Gary Oldman portrays a dwarf.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
What?
Yes, and guess who's also in the movie? Peter Dinklage. How insulting can you get where you star Gary Oldman, who isn't a dwarf, as a dwarf?
Oh my... No, you must be joking.
Nope. Or little person, I think, but both of them
I'm just choosing not to say anything because I'm letting you dig that hole yourself.
Because
I have already gotten in trouble for something I've said on this podcast. Now it's your turn.
You have?
Yes.
All right.
We're not even going to bring it up again because I don't want more trouble.
But yeah, no, little person or dwarf. I think they're both politically correct. But if not, please correct me.
Yeah, no, we are not trying to cause offense, but it...
No, but that movie does cause offense.
That movie sounds like it causes lots of offense. Yeah. Wow, really?
So Gary Oldman didn't really bring it.
Gary, no.
Yeah, no, but yeah, no, I know what you mean. So yeah, like you have certain actors that don't need the same amount of direction or cues or the perfect role or anything. They can sort of make it their own. Yeah. I would even argue like Christian Bale is one of those. Where he just like
brings it
from movie to movie. It's a completely different person.
Yeah. Whereas on other actors, you're casting a guy because he is what he is. Yeah. Denzel Washington is an amazing actor, but he's always Denzel Washington. He is a great actor, but Will Smith. To choose a slightly less good option of the same thing, John Cusack.
Yes,
John Cusack is always John Cusack.
John Cusack is always John Cusack.
Which is why Raven, where John Cusack portrays Edgar Allan Poe, is fucking hilarious.
I love that movie.
It's like, what is this?
All of a sudden he's a detective.
No, I'm sorry. Great. Can we just be clear? That whole movie is like watching a period piece, but someone is a time traveler in cosplay.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what it feels like.
Yeah, because John Cusack does not fit in at all.
Yeah, no, so yeah, and that's not to say that Scarlett Johansson is bad, again. And I don't think she kind of goes into that same, well, not at least not 100% in that same category as, say, Will Smith or Cusack or whoever.
No, again, she is in that other thing that Ryan Gosling
she's in that in-between, where not quite where, any role she can do, but not quite where... She has that typecast. She acts really well.
She acts really well, but her particular type of acting and her particular way of emoting lends itself better to certain types of character. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
And I'm still not decided if this role was one that worked well for her. I'm still sitting here trying... Because I just watched the movie. Again, never seen it before. Hadn't even watched a trailer. I saw the poster for this film, and that is my only exposure.
Yeah. Which, understandably, because we have to mention the controversy.
Yes, the controversy. Let's get to the controversy.
Which, to be fair, Hollywood is no stranger to this controversy.
No.
Controversy, I mean, which in movies like Exodus, I mean, no one has bared the brunt as Egypt has. No. Egypt bears the biggest brunt of all this because in Exodus and in Gods of Egypt, there's just a bunch of white people with bronzing lotion. That's all it is.
Egypt really does take the cake for all this stuff.
But yeah, so
that's going all the way back to Charlton Heston.
Yeah,
let my people go.
Oh my god. Yeah. So this movie had quite a bit of controversy with the whitewashing because it's technically set in Japan.
It is technically set. It is set in Japan.
It is Japanese media.
Yep.
It's a Japanese story. And there are Japanese actors, like we mentioned, Takeshi Kitano, and also Chin Han.
Chin Han, I don't believe is Chinese. I believe Chin Han is Chinese.
You just said Chinese twice, but okay.
No, I mean I don't believe he's Japanese. I believe he is Chinese.
The guy who plays Saito, he's Japanese.
Yeah, that's Yakuta Ishimura.
Yeah, sorry, I mixed the two. I was reading this, and then I read that name. Sorry.
Well done. But
yeah.
Yeah, no, but it's one of those things where it's kind of like...
Yeah, and there are a lot of like extras that are also Japanese, but...
Yeah,
but no.
We don't know where they're actually from, because this was actually filmed in Hong Kong.
That's true.
They're probably Chinese, let's be clear.
Maybe. Well, they are speaking Japanese.
There is a lot of Japanese being spoken. Well, that's mainly Takeshi Kitano.
Yeah, also... Yeah, that's true.
That's mainly him.
True.
He's the one who's always speaking Japanese. And then people are answering him in English.
Yeah, it's bizarre. But one thing so that was the controversy where it was like whitewashing and
because
I get it.
The character, okay, this is where it gets a bit complicated because in the anime, and again, I'm not the expert, so you'll have to correct me if I'm wrong. The idea is that the character certainly is Japanese.
The brain is, yes.
The brain is, yeah. This is where it gets controversial because the entire point of this film is that it is a human brain in an artificial body.
And that's not a spoiler because they literally mention that in the first 5 minutes.
Right up front. I think the trailer says it. If the trailer doesn't, I'd be shocked because this is this kind of movie.
Yeah, I'll get to my gripe with that particular thing later.
Feel free.
Sure.
Well, we'll get there. I think there's a few gripes that need to be dealt with here. I've certainly got mine.
Yeah.
But the idea being that it is an artificial body. Now, in the anime... It is never really, at least for me, visually explicit if the artificial body is Caucasian or Asian.
Yeah, and that's usually very difficult
because it's, in
their animating style.
They're animated, and it's that kind of animation style where it is an unnatural look to begin with. It is the big eyes, it is the tiny jawline, it's that thing, and it's like...
And to be fair, Scarlett Johansson portrays that really well here. She does have a small jaw,
look,
big eyes.
She has the look of it. No doubt.
She has the look. Like even her muscular features, like everything is down to the
T.
Yeah, down to the T.
But I can absolutely appreciate wanting a non-white actor in that role because it is, for all intents and purposes, a non-white character.
Yeah. And, you want representation.
Yeah,
but also, it's also respectful when you're taking, especially when it's something so... Beloved from the country.
Yeah.
You want to respect the country enough to say, like, all right, we'll take actors that are at least of that heritage.
Yeah, I mean, let's be completely clear. Whether or not we end up recommending Ghost in the Shell 2017, do watch Ghost in the Shell 1995.
Oh, yeah, most definitely.
It's amazing.
Yeah,
it is an absolute visual wonderkin. I love that movie.
The action is on par with what you see here.
Oh yeah,
which because it's technically easier to do that kind of action with animation.
It's true.
So 1995 versus 2017 makes sense that moving that over to live action because you do need a lot of CGI and some ropes.
But
and all that stuff.
This is getting to one of my gripes, and it'll probably come up after we've talked about the plot. But let's be clear: 1995 animation. 2017, with all the technology in the world and over $100 million in budget, there is no excuse for it looking worse.
Yeah, that's true.
Because it does. It looks worse.
In certain areas.
It looks worse. But I'm going to get to that. My gripes are...
I don't think so.
My gripes are there. We're going to get to them. But
I think I'm a bit more forgiving with the visual aspects because it kind of reminds me of other media.
Yeah, we'll get to it. My reasons for it are a little bit particular. But the plot is that the artificial body who is named Major
Mira Killian.
Yes, Mira Killian, which they say a lot.
Yeah, even though she's only credited as Major, but it's Major Mila Killian.
Yes. She is working for something called Section 9, which is a government spy agency kind of thing.
It's like Homeland Security.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is a future world where robots are everywhere. I mean, robots are kind of the be all and end all of this society.
Yeah, and
very cyberpunk.
Very cyberpunk. Section 9 is a specific unit that goes against cyber terrorism, basically. Yeah. Where hacking is no longer just on a computer, where it can actually hack people.
Yes. Which it gets to very quickly.
Yeah.
And after that, I think this might be one of those films where we just have to say up front, it gets so convoluted so quickly. Trying to explain the plot outside of the basics isn't quite possible.
Yeah, and I think that's where the 1995 animated film, which I guess I could say right from the top that this movie does take a lot from that, but it's not a remake.
No, it's not a remake.
Per se. What it does is it takes from the movie. It takes a few stories from the show, and I think one or two from the manga that wasn't translated into a show. I'm not entirely certain about that. Correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, but at least what I noticed was it takes a lot from the movie, but it also takes a few episodes of the show, and it sort of merges them together and actually makes surprisingly a cohesive story out of it.
No, the story works to a degree. I mean, I'm not going to say it's the best executed story in the world, but it's a solid enough story.
Yeah, it's cohesive at least. Yeah, that's what I can say. So what I was going to say was that the 1995 animated film did a much better job of telling the story, where it didn't feel that convoluted and everything. It flowed much better.
Yeah, and the main reason for that is because, here's the honest truth, everybody. There's the people who made Ghost in the Shell in 2017 made the film, and then they looked at who was going to be watching this film, and they decided that you, the audience, were dumber than a bag of hammers. They were surprised you could tie your shoes that morning. They were surprised you could walk, talk, and breathe at the same time. And therefore, the entire film is... It stops every 5 seconds to explain everything. It's just unbelievable.
It doesn't do that one thing that I really hate some movies doing, where something happens and they literally spend like a minute discussing what just happened. They don't do that.
No, but it is a bunch of...
that would have made it really bad.
Yeah, that would have been too much.
But... it does hammer the message from the first 5 minutes and all the way through the movie again and again and again.
I'm not
It's one of the first words even said.
Yeah. like we open with a little text scroll, which is just telling you the world, and then 3 seconds later they're like, "How now we need to tell you about the world." 4 minutes after that, by the way, we need to explain to you the main theme.
Yeah.
2 minutes after that, have we told you the main theme yet? I'm not sure we mentioned it.
Action scene, then right after the action scene. The main theme, by the way.
Yeah.
Unless you didn't catch it the first 3 times.
I'm not entirely sure you know this, but you are a ghost in a shell. Yeah. 3 seconds later. Did I mention you're a ghost in a shell?
Yeah, it's great. Oh no, I don't.
It's like, because the story isn't bad. It's actually a fairly good plot, but it's so insecure,
and you can definitely tell that some test audience people were watching this and they just went, "What happened?"
I think that's the biggest gripe overall with this movie, is that it feels like a product. It doesn't feel like any particular stylistic voice or anything, because it does feel very test audience controlled, retest, redo, reshoot, all that stuff. It just tastes like it. I mean, you can just tell.
Because there are even some moments where they ADR the main theme.
Yep.
Yeah. Which is especially Dr. Ule.
Oh, Dr.
She ADRs that main theme so many times.
Yeah, Juliette Binoche, who is from Chocolat. And here, it would be like that. That's exactly the thing. It's kind of like it's like you're watching Chocolat, but every 20 seconds they're stopping and she looks at the camera and goes, "By the way, Chocolat is like sex."
Yeah. In case
3 minutes later, this chocolate is delicious. It's like having good sex. It's just yes, we get it. We understand.
Have you tried putting chili in it?
Yeah. The chocolate, not the sex.
Why not the second? No, I'm just joking.
No, again, but that's the whole movie. It's like, oh my god, we get it. We get it.
Yeah. And
Scarlett Johansson, how are you? I feel like a ghost in a shell.
Yeah, like we get it. God damn
it, ScarJo.
Man, I feel like a ghost in
Yeah,
a shell.
It just, oh my lord. Yeah, no, and I suspect, I almost don't even think they needed a test audience. I think it's the fact that Western audiences struggle to understand the 1995 film.
They do.
It's a very common complaint about that film,
yeah.
is that people can't follow it.
Yeah, and that's why, but I feel like had they, I kind of understand the first 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Fine. You want to set up the world, and you
don't
want to
make it very clear.
Yeah, that this is what the theme of the movie is.
Mm-hmm.
And then, but then you don't need to keep repeating it throughout the film. It's not even a 2-hour movie.
No, it's an hour and 45 minutes, and I think they tell us the main theme at least 20 times.
Oh, I wouldn't go that far, but yes, it feels like it.
Think about it. Like, I don't know. Think about it. How many? Every time she's in the medical center.
Yeah, which is like 3 times or
3, 4.
Yeah.
Then there's the time she does the deep dive.
Sure.
Then there's the time that
they talk about
her boss is talking about the deep dive. Then there's the time
Cutter is talking about
the deep dive.
So at least about 10 times.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, I think my case is being made.
Yeah, at least about 10 times.
She goes diving and talks about it like 3 times. I mean, it's like, this whole movie.
Yeah, that's true. I am a ghost in a shell.
And you are more valuable because you're human evolution or some shit.
Yeah.
Oh.
And in case you didn't catch it, which, it's a brain
and
a robot.
It's a brain and a robot.
And they show you that visually, which would have been enough. They literally show it to you visually in the opening sequence.
Yeah.
When they're making the robot, which is a callback to the 1995
and
film.
it looks so great, and it's gorgeous, and it's so beautiful. And then we cut to 2 people talking, and they're like,
"You're a ghost in a shell."
No. She hasn't even woken up yet. She's like, "Yeah, that's a brain in a robot. She's a ghost in a shell. She's really important, but we're going to use her to kill people. That's not right. We're going to do it anyway." Cut. 1 year later. It's just like, you must be joking.
1 year later, and then she wakes up, and the doctor goes, your soul, your ghost. Yeah. In case it wasn't obvious.
Yeah. We don't want people to read the title and be confused.
Yeah. Your soul, your ghost.
It's just, every time they just need to keep pointing that out. I'll always be with you, with your ghost. Just like, please stop.
But besides that...
Yeah, but it's not a bad story. It's just... It gets very bogged down.
And actually, now that you mention it, if they removed a lot of that stuff out, it would have probably...
story would have flowed way better. It would have flowed way better.
Because then you didn't need to have to stop every 2 seconds in the middle of a conversation and be like, in case you didn't realize...
Yeah, but it would also give the people something else to talk about.
Yeah.
And that's the huge issue here, is that every time there's conversation in this film... Because it's so concerned you forgot what just happened and what the theme is, that's the only thing they can talk about. No one is discussing their breakfast. No one is have any time for chit-chat. Yes, this is all about cyber enhancements, ghosts, souls, and cyber attacks. We're done.
Yeah.
One guy wants to feed his dog, and it ends up in a conversation about them working only in the job.
Yeah.
It's like, can we please have lives?
Yeah, which really, really hampers character development.
Yeah, I mean, poor old, how do you say his name? Palau Asbek, who is playing Batu, is doing his damnedest to have a character here. He's actually doing a really good job.
He's probably my favorite character in the movie.
He has a really silly haircut, and he's doing his best to have an emotionally relatable character. Because Scarlett Johansson, by necessity, her character is emotionally detached. Again,
even in the animated movie, Bato is the heart of the movie.
Yeah, and he's trying to carry the emotional weight of this movie. Kind of the only one doing it. The Doctor tries a bit, but it doesn't work very well.
Very flat.
He's doing his damnedest, but all they can talk about, it seems like, are the themes of the movie, and it makes it very difficult. Even the little character moments that I liked in the film are all his, and he's always not talking about themes. He's always talking, like, they're little interchanges.
Yeah. And, I mean, he tries.
Yeah.
But then they always bring it back around.
Always bring it back around. It's like, come on.
As much as I don't want to say, like, I like it. I think it's a fine movie.
Yeah, I'm not quite that far. It's an alright movie. It's okay.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's not great.
It's not great.
Fine.
I'd struggle to call it good.
It's more than serviceable, I would say.
Yeah, I think that's... let me put it this way. If you had put on a 90s action film.
Like Speed.
Put on Speed, put on...
That's 10 out of 10 for me.
anything like that. That's about the level of emotional and narrative weight this film is kind of bringing to the table. But because it is such a, it's based off the anime and it's trying to have these big themes and all the rest of it, it falls really flat on its own promises. It's like, this movie is telling you in the way it's made and who's making it and all that stuff. It's like, yeah, this has something to say, and you keep waiting for it to say it.
And they do in the first 5 minutes.
Yeah, let me rephrase that. It's trying to connect with you on a certain level, and it doesn't.
It conveys, but it doesn't connect.
Correct.
That's the issue.
Yeah,
it conveys the message, but it doesn't connect the message.
Yeah, and it's like, if it hadn't set high expectations of that stuff, I probably wouldn't have noticed it so much.
Yeah, I mean, they could have taken more dialogue, because individual scenes and storylines.
Yeah.
I kind of hesitate to say lines, but it technically does have more than one.
It's got an A plot and a comma.
And a comma, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are taken from both the film and the show. But had they taken the dialogue as well from those two, at least a little bit, that would have worked much better.
Way better.
Because visually, the movie is
really
great.
good. It's visually... Well...
No, I mean, like, the set pieces are visually stunning.
Yes, set pieces are visually stunning. The effects are very on point. The digital work is great. They've done an amazing job visually.
Visually, yeah. The city, I like and don't like. I have my gripes with it, but it's fine.
Yeah, I think that's going to come back to where my big thing is here. But moving on.
Which I mean, go ahead.
Okay, here's the thing. I think visually they did a great job. I think stylistically they dropped the ball.
Yeah.
I have, I'm not actually going to put that on the filmmakers. I'm going to put that on whoever was in charge of post-production.
Yes.
This felt like a decision from on high. This felt like a decision of an overall scale. Because this movie, it's based off the anime. It's all about the world and the cyberpunk and the adaptions and all the mechanical stuff. This movie was always going to be about the visuals. The story was always going to play second fiddle. You have the effect budget, great. Why the fuck did they decide to color grade it like it's the Dark Knight?
Yeah, it's a very dark and blue
it's
movie.
Very blue. It's lots and lots of shadow. This should have been color graded like Atomic Blonde.
Yeah, Atomic Blonde would have been perfect.
Yeah, it should have had...
Yeah, because that's also kind of blue and dark, but it's saturated.
It's very saturated. It has a lot of interesting, colorful flair. It has a lot of punch. And it should have had a way stronger soundtrack.
Yes, I was about to mention the soundtrack, because they tease the original soundtrack, which is infinitely better.
I think that's the point where we're both like,
is it coming?
Is it coming?
No.
It begins with orchestral nonsense.
Yes, very generic.
Yeah, very generic. This is something I'd expect to see on the trailer for a new drama.
Almost,
This is not what I expected in my cyberpunk anime film thing.
And then contrast that to the beginning of the animated film, which is almost shot for shot.
Yep, it is almost shot for shot,
and that has that screaming, like,
punchy music,
and it's just like so good.
We didn't mention it on the podcast, but really similar to the soundtrack from Us.
Sure.
Very same kind of, like, it's got this, it's almost operatic, but it is, I don't know what it is.
Like that? Yeah. Because Us did a really interesting thing where they sound mixed the song "I Got 5 on It."
Yeah.
Into that choreography in the final fight. I don't know if I mentioned it in the podcast, but I thought that was so cool.
But the opening music in Us was that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think we did mention that.
I hope we did.
Where they were just saying the notes like do re mi oh.
Yeah. But whereas in the original soundtrack for Ghost in the Shell, it is a choir who are singing in Japanese, and it is such a powerful kind of
bombastic,
very bombastic, very stylized, and you really feel it, and it matches the tone of the film perfectly.
Yes, no, it like when the title screen comes on in that movie, Ghost in the Shell, like you don't need explanation. You don't need Dr. Ule telling you, oh, your soul, your ghost.
No, I mean it's so like on point, and the music is very elevating.
Yes,
here the music is so downplayed, and it's just.
Yeah, because even like in the bar scene, it's so subdued. Like you have all this awesome action, and it's just like the generic subdued fight music. Like, all right.
I mean, it's kind of like you're almost watching the action choreographers going like, yeah, it's gonna be like done. He's gonna be like done. He's gonna throw him. He's gonna pull the gun, and you have the music choreographer high in the corner going. Yes, thanks.
I'm gonna throw
a couple beats on that.
I'm gonna throw some Chris Martin on.
Yeah,
some of that Coldplay.
Yeah, I mean, it's just
it sort of feels like,
and it does feel like that. It's just it's really and it detracts because you want that soundtrack. You want that really punchy, almost like synthwave techno thing.
The annoying bit is that it has that.
But it's really quiet.
It's very quiet,
understated.
and it's only elements of the overall score.
Yeah,
it's like tiny elements of it.
Yeah, I mean, you're wondering it's like the musicians are all sitting there going like, "Oh, we don't want to interrupt. I'm sorry. Can we throw a little bit of the score? Oh, just a little bit. We don't want to bother you. We understand that this is like a big action scene, but no, really, we're just." Oh no, is that too much? I'm sorry. We didn't want to just really demure.
Yeah,
that's it, and that's what the feel of the film because it's the same with the colors. You want all those like neons and colors and cityscape lights to just be punching you from the screen, going very Blade Runner. You want it to feel rich and textured. It doesn't
at all, and the most annoying bit is that this came out after Drive.
Yeah,
had it had the same color grading and soundtrack as Drive, this movie would have been completely different. If it's not obvious, if any of you out there want to do a fan edit of this movie, by all means,
I'm telling you, just do the
color grading, get a better soundtrack. I'm all on board.
Get the color LUT. Just get the basic LUT from Drive. Throw it on top, and then get Kavinsky's Night Call and layer it on top of the action scenes.
Just the remix in the bar scene, and then the original otherwise. And
you just want it, and it feels so depressing when you don't get it because you can tell all the material was there. It was all filmed. It was all looking really good. All the 3D and not the 3D, but all the digital effects are so there. Color grading should have been the icing on top, but instead it brings the whole mood down.
And what it felt like is before I talk about that, I mean, Scarlett Johansson's performance is pretty good, I think, in this movie. I love the way how everyone around her moves so humanly and so emotive in their actions, and because she is the only fully robot with a human brain person, she moves, and even her facial expressions are incredibly robotic. Even her action scenes. It's not flowy. It's not like Black Widow at all here. No. It is incredibly robotic.
Yep.
Which I liked because it makes sense in the movie. But what it felt like is they didn't trust her performance. No. And so they had to add that sombering, subdued music to make sure that you understand she's not happy about this. But even though she clearly expresses that.
Yeah, but I mean, here's the thing as well, is that it's really odd because she is good in this. I will agree with you. I think specifically on the physical stuff. I'm not going to get into her dialogue too much because I blame the script. I blame her.
Yeah, I blame the script.
She just does. She has so little to work with in terms of what she's saying that.
And you know the director told her like, no, more robotic. Yeah, you know that happened a few times. Yeah, because she tries in some scenes, especially that one scene where the camera is on her face for like a full minute, I think. where she's just having a small monologue.
Yeah.
And she tries, and she does really well in that scene. But then the minute it cuts away and back, she's back to being the robot mode.
Yeah, but when she meets a woman, we're not going to get into the possible spoiler territory, I guess. I think we're...
No,
mainly because I don't want to spoil 1995.
Yes.
So, yeah, but she meets a woman, and that's interesting, because that's her just reacting.
Mm-hmm.
That's just... And the camera doesn't trust her. Because the camera doesn't stay on her.
No, it's like a little bit, we'll shy away. No.
We're going to give her a mid-shot, not a close-up.
And it's like, you splurge to get Scarlett
Johansson. I mean, come on.
Like, use her properly, like, for her acting skills.
This is someone, you've already courted controversy. You went for the white actress.
Yes.
My God, you might as well get your money's worth.
Right?
Because she's doing her best, and there's no doubt she isn't phoning this in.
No, not at all.
She's really putting down the effort. She's having everything working against her. The camera doesn't trust her. The script thinks she's an idyot.
No, I guarantee you that she did quite a bit of research for this.
Yeah, completely.
I don't know for a fact, but just from her performance,
definitely worked with
like
a dance teacher or something, because the movement style is integrated. That whole robotic way of moving is there
from start to finish.
Yeah, and it's incorporated into everything she does.
Yeah. And you can tell that certain aspects from the movie, she does like exactly the same motions and everything. Like it's so. Yeah. She clearly studied the movie really well to embody the character.
And the best thing she does, which is really interesting, and it's something I kind of noticed about halfway through, is that when she's being in robot mode, which I think she's a bit too much. I think was a little bit more room there for her to play, but she has to be a robot. I get that.
Yeah, So had they not been hammering home the message, it would have been nice visually.
Yeah, it would have been perfect.
Because it would have been a nice visual representation of this person is different.
Yeah, and what she kind of does for a lot of her performance is that her face is almost segmented, by which that she is moving her lips and talking, but her upper part of her face, where her eyes and nose, is completely locked. There is no motion. Which is a really interesting thing to do.
It's very impressive, actually.
It's incredibly impressive. Yeah. It's the same way that... I can't remember his name. The guy who played the bad guy robot in Terminator 2.
Yeah.
Whatever his name is. Taught himself not to blink when firing a gun. So that he can have a completely open eyes when firing a gun almost at his face. Because it would have been weird if a Terminator blinked...
That's true.
But you don't notice it when he doesn't.
That's true. That's very true.
And it's kind of like, it's one of those things where it's kind of like, I think we would have noticed if she hadn't done stuff like that a lot more. But it's hard to appreciate a thing that isn't there.
Yes. I think she took a lot of things that she learned from Under the Skin.
I
know we mentioned that movie a lot, but we highly recommend it.
We both love that movie. So, obviously we're going to mention it.
Yeah. A very, very heady movie.
Because I'm the same. ScarJo, when I got to know ScarJo, I mean, it was like, Under the Skin is the one that convinced me. I'm like, I was exactly like you. It's the same way I didn't like Ryan Gosling until Drive.
Yeah. Yeah, actually. Well, I liked him in Little Hercules, but sure.
Little Hercules? Yeah. What is Little Hercules?
You know how...
Please tell me it's not a Disney kid thing.
No. Well, I don't know. You know how Kevin Sorbo had a Hercules series?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and he was awesome.
Kevin
Sorbo.
Wait, this isn't my world. Disappointed.
Yes, that Kevin Sorbo.
I love
it. So they made a prequel series starring Ryan Gosling as Little Hercules. I'm pretty sure that's him. Oh. And he also was in a series where I don't remember the name, but they were like on a yacht, and he was a bartender or something on it. Hilarious.
Oh, okay.
You should definitely look that stuff up.
This sounds a little bit like the made-for-TV in Canada movie Ryan Reynolds did, where he is a little yogi.
Okay.
He's a little white boy who's pretending to be Indian.
Oh God.
And he's in touch with the spirits of Buddha. They
didn't learn from Little Buddha with Keanu Reeves.
Oh no, Siddhartha. No. Oh, generic white guys playing Buddhists.
See, Hollywood is no stranger to this
the whitewashing. No, I think the problem here is that it was so... number one, I can understand why this controversy happened, because it was, number one, very blatant.
And it's something that they actually hold dear. It's
not only that, but it is something that a lot of, what are they called? Otakus?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, it's got a huge cultural following from people who are admirers of Japanese culture in the West. So it wasn't like an unknown property. It was a very well-known property to those people.
And that's what I mean. It was highly admired property both in the West and in Japan and the East in general. It's something that the whole world pretty much admires.
And then
Yeah. And
I mean, I do get it. I really do.
Yeah, because the main point, because they do have a lot of actors from different countries and like European countries. I think probably one or two Australian, some American.
Judging by those accents, something was going on.
And obviously Asian cultures as well. And they do have varying accents, and they probably, what they were trying to say, one of the few things that they don't slam you in the head with is that globalization is so rampant at this far into the future that that it's no longer one country holds a single culture. It's everyone is everywhere.
So the problem is with that is that they tried to go for a globalist accent. Very cyberpunk, very kind of...
After Earth.
Here's the problem with that. I don't know if you noticed, but we were mentioning it in the beginning of the film.
Yeah.
You notice how they just dropped it halfway through?
They did, yeah. Especially Cutter. He just dropped it halfway
Cutter just dropped it completely. Batu kind of just dropped his.
Yeah, well, Batu already has a little bit of an accent. It's Batu's the same guy who plays Euron. No, is it Euron Greyjoy in Game of Thrones?
Look at me. I'm not a Game of Thrones guy.
The guy who keeps pining over Cersei.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he already has a little bit of an accent.
They are all pining over Cersei.
But the Greyjoy, that's
I know what you mean.
For people that know Game of Thrones, I think they would know who I'm talking about. He shows up in the last 3 or 2 seasons.
I've only seen the first one, and I decided, twincest. Maybe this is where I draw the line.
That's the first episode.
Yeah, I'm like, well, if this is how we're starting show, I'm not sure if I can follow where you're leading, but I'll try.
To be honest, I had a very similar reaction watching Game of Thrones. Because I'd seen the first episode, and then just noped. I really And then my brother and his wife were like
so
begging me, oh, it's so good, and it's about to end, and I'm like, all right. Okay. So,
did you mainline it? Oh, nice.
Yeah. So while the last 2 episodes were being aired, I basically in those 2 weeks I watched the whole Game of Thrones.
I'm probably going to have to do that at some point because everyone, it's such a cultural staple now. I kind of need to get it out of my system.
To be honest, now that it's over, you don't need to. You really don't.
Because I'll be honest, episode 1, twincest and child murder. I'm not entirely sure I'm on board here, everybody.
Yeah, I was on board for the child murder.
That's gonna. That's a comment that might stick with you a little bit.
But to be perfectly honest, that was so out there. Like twincest. Like Gladiator, we've seen some of these things before.
God. Yeah, well, not that graphic.
That graphic, but we've seen these elements before. But literally just like killing off a child. Or trying to, at least.
But...
that was really, really ballsy. And I was like, oh, wow, that's interesting. Everything else was kind of boring, but that's interesting. I like that.
I love the fact that looking back at first episode of Game of Thrones, how, tame it is compared to what's happened since. In terms of like graphic content and sex on TV and such, it's kind of like
but you have to. I mean, it spanned a decade.
It did.
I know it's only 8 seasons, but there was breaks in between, so it spanned a decade.
It did span a decade, and that's why it's a little funny thing about like I remember looking at that and going, "My God, what they'll put on television!" And here we are, much later, of like things have changed.
Things have changed.
Oh, how they've changed.
With a cigar, like. Things have changed.
Things have changed. Yeah, let's talk about Scarlett Johansson's bodysuit.
Tangent aside,
but it's actually leading us to a point.
Yeah, this time.
Let's talk about Scarlett Johansson's bodysuit.
I was a fan of it.
You were?
Yeah, no, because it looked a lot like what I would imagine a robotic bodysuit would look like.
I'll agree with that.
Yeah.
That's another little source of controversy. I remember that people were.
Yeah, because it looked like flesh, and it looked like she was naked. Which, in lore, makes perfect sense.
Correct.
Because the whole idea was that, if she has the technology to turn her skin invisible, I don't know why the hair turns invisible, but whatever. If she has the technology to turn her skin invisible, then if she had clothes on, they would just be floating. It would be obvious.
Why does she have hair?
That's a good question. I don't know. Ask the animators.
Ask it. Scarlett Johansson bald in this movie. I would
have been very ex machina.
I would have given it more. Yeah. I would have said, "Hey, you guys made a stylistic decision."
Yeah, because that was a very ballsy decision, taking Alicia Vikander and just making her bold throughout the whole movie.
So great,
but she does an amazing job.
Oh. Yeah, sorry, ScarJo, but Alicia Vikander, way
kinda,
better an actor.
Yeah, kind of did a much better representation of a robot.
Exactly the same thing. Better job.
Even more robotic, technically.
More robotic, but more emotive.
Even more emotive, yeah. I mean, she was supposed to be more robotic, but turned out to be
She managed
less.
to communicate a deeper sense of emotion with less.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not sure how much of that I can blame on Scarlett Johansson because she is working with what might be one of the most heavy-handed scripts I've seen since the 90s.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a callback to the 90s, which makes it's kind of funny because the animated film 1995. So
1995.
Around the time,
but the 1995 film isn't heavy-handed.
I know.
The 1995 film is so convoluted. It's so obscure, maybe.
Yeah, obscure and subtle that a lot of Western audiences struggle with it. So here they just went the complete opposite route.
Yeah, I watched it the first time I saw a 1995 version. I didn't realize it was the kind of movie where I had to be completely on point. I was kind of watching it halfway with somebody. So my brain wasn't fully engaged. So we got to the end of it. I'm sitting there going, how? What? Who?
Yeah.
Why the little girl?
Why the little girl? Yeah.
Why the little girl? I'm literally sitting there going, what? But then I watched it again. I'm like, oh, I get it. Because I actually had to engage with this.
Yeah, no, I've only seen it once. And I saw it after I'd seen Akira. Also, a very highly regarded
that movie,
and it scares me that they have been trying to make a live action adaptation in Hollywood for a long time.
They have, but you know who's been signed up to direct it?
Now they've been interchanging directors for years.
Taika Waititi.
Ooh, now I'm interested.
That's his passion project. He wants to make it. He's the one fighting for it now.
Yeah, because like someone like Taika Waititi would be interesting.
Yeah,
it's the same way where Jordan Voight. The guy who did Kong Skull Island.
Oh yeah,
he wants to direct. He wants to direct the Metal Gear Solid movie.
Let him do it.
Yeah, right. And he's super passionate about it. So I'm like, I think I can trust that guy. Like,
yeah, because I'll be honest,
I have a little bit of hope.
Whoever Rupert something who directed this, we did see it earlier.
Rupert Vandross? No,
Vanderos?
No,
really?
No,
Rupert Sanders.
I was making
way more boring a name.
I was making a joke.
Yeah, I know. But no, I mean, this guy, what has he done?
Good question. I don't
because
think...
he kind of. I don't want to say he dropped the ball. He did a fine job, but that's kind of. Ooh, that's a face.
Is he the one that did the Snow White and the Huntress?
Yes. Oh my sweet
the Huntsman,
lord!
Sorry. With Kirsten Stewart, and you were mentioning Charlize Theron.
Charlize Theron. Yeah. Charlize Theron is amazing in that movie. She isn't in the same movie as the rest of that fit movie, but she is in a better movie.
Well, okay. All right. Well, okay. Now that makes more sense. What I saw was that he hadn't directed anything since Ghost in the Shell, basically.
Yep.
And so I was like, oh shit, that movie ruined his career. But then I looked back and he actually waits long periods before directing.
Yeah, he goes like big jumps here.
Yeah, because he did Snow White in 2012.
And that was it?
Just a bunch of shorts. And then Ghost in the Shell. So he only has those 2 full feature-length credits. Interesting.
And now he's doing a TV show called Foundation.
Well, he's only directed 1 episode. There's filming. All right, yeah.
They're filming. Please don't tell me that's Asimov.
Yeah, I think it is Asimov.
Oh my no!
Yeah, because that's coming for Apple TV.
You must be joking.
No, I'm not joking. It's Asimov Foundation.
You bastards, leave Asimov alone! Don't give it to Rupert Sanders, my god.
I don't know how they're going to... Oh, well, that makes me really worried for that show.
Yeah, I was about to say, don't give it to him.
He's going to be directing the pilot. Oh, shit.
This guy kind of did... I love this. Best known for Snow White and the Huntsman, Ghost in the Shell, and Untitled Rupert Sanders Sci-Fi Project. I love IMDb.
Untitled
Rupert Sanders Sci-Fi Project. Yeah, but that's the thing. This guy is an untitled director. There's just not a lot happening here. It's just
and you can really tell because, like you were saying, I mean, some really obvious things like the color grading, even the floaty camera shots through the city, which Granted, only happened the one time.
No, they happened 2 or 3 times.
Did it?
The floaty camera? Yeah, the floaty camera was happening a few times throughout this movie.
Because I felt like they the end they also did the floaty camera. That's true. But mostly after they did that the first time, they kind of stuck to the helicopter shot, which was way better.
Here's the thing. In the original 1995, and boy oh boy, is this turning into a comparison episode.
Yeah, I know. I wasn't planning on this.
But in there, it's a couple of decisions that are made from a stylistic perspective. The major one is that almost every shot is ground level. There is never a shot in the film that couldn't have a person standing there to see it. So you're never getting this God's eye view. It's always grounded in the reality of this world. And the best part for that is that they do have these little interlude shots where they're just showing you the city at work. And it's just a slow camera, and it's usually on something. So it's like on a car going down a street. So you're moving along with the rest of the traffic, or you're on a boat going down the river, and you're moving along with the rest of the boats. And it is this really wonderful mechanism for putting you in this foreign world, but it makes it feel very human and makes it feel very real.
Yeah, like despite the very
alien kind of nature of it.
Yeah, because this is so far into the future, even though there are talks of doing the kind of operations that they're talking about here as soon as 2045, like in the scientific world. But this is so alien.
Yeah, so far in the future.
Idea that you need something to ground you.
Yeah,
and usually cyberpunk movies stick to characters to ground you as opposed to the world, and kind of leave the world as background for the character to discover. Here they decide to do both at the same time, which fails on both accounts.
You have again, 1 year later.
Yeah.
That's a big thing, because if we'd had Scarlett Johansson adapting to this life and this job
even like
and this
tiny
body,
montage, like that's all you really need.
That would have helped a lot. Yeah. But no, we just cut straight to a year later, and she's jumping off buildings and turning invisible. Okay. She is a part of this future world. We are not going to be following her to try and understand it. She's already there.
And I mean, fine. I guess you can blame the 1995 movie for that, but
no, because the 1995 movie did that job somewhere else. They knew what they were doing because they let her be part of the world, and then
that's my point. Yeah. Where but that transition, you can kind of blame the 1995 movie, but at the same time, you're adapting. You're not doing a shot-for-shot remake here.
Yeah.
So, adapt it, make it your own, make it work.
If you're going to take that aspect away one place, you have to put it back in somewhere else. Here we end up with the floaty camera, which is one of my pet peeves in movies, generally speaking.
Yeah.
I don't like a floaty camera. And what I mean by a floaty camera is not a drone shot, helicopter shot, or POV from a high place. Those are all different.
Yeah, because you might I guess a good example of not floaty camera is the Spider-Man 2, I think.
Yeah.
Where the camera is on Spider-Man's back.
Yes.
The Sam Raimi one. The whole time.
Yep.
And he's zipping and zapping through traffic.
Or you're out through windows, or you're on top of buildings. You're always somewhere.
Yeah. And like that, it does feel, because he was, I think, digitally added in. So that technically was a floaty cam, but the fact that you're grounded having him in the middle of the screen.
Yeah. It's also motivated movement.
Yes.
Motivated movement is the big thing.
Yeah. Here it doesn't do that.
Yeah, because even if you have a helicopter style shot where you're on a platform or there's something moving in, that's great. You can have a moving camera that's being motivated by moving with something. Mm-hmm. But here, when it's just free form and just kind of moving around like it's an app.
Yeah.
And you just don't...
That's the best way to put it,
really.
And
you just... it feels... And it makes this wonderful digital creation of this world it created. Because it's clearly a digital world. But when you have a camera moving through it in this way, you know it's a digital world.
Yeah, it makes it even more fake.
Nothing in your brain says this is real.
A really, really good counterpoint, even though I haven't seen the full movie yet, I have seen the trailer. There's a trailer shot in Blade Runner 2049.
Yep.
Where it's similar. It has those holographics and all that stuff. Yeah. It's kind of similar, but it has that steady shot, which is akin to the original Blade Runner, where it was literally like helicopter shots of the miniatures that they built.
Yeah, it's this it's drones and such.
Yeah, through. And it's slow. It's deliberate. It's not floaty and it's not fast and doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, the best example of the difference for me is Pacific Rim. Pacific Rim 1, every single shot is ground level. And it makes every robot feel huge and powerful and slow and sluggish. Cut 2, Uprising.
I haven't seen it. Didn't want to watch it.
It's terrible. Every camera shot of the robot is just this free-floating thing, and it's just like, oh, I'm watching a PS2 fighting game.
Yeah, right? That's exactly what it would feel.
Gundam Zero did it better. I'm like, come on.
Yeah, Gundam Zero is good.
Yeah, I mean, like, good God, everybody. We really need to think about stylistic
Zone of Enders, because that's also
Zone of Enders.
Yeah, Zone of Enders.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Zone of Enders did it better, because at least you have an understanding of scale. You're not just watching this little camera floating about like you're watching. It takes so much away because you've given too much freedom.
Yeah.
And this movie has this problem, is that there's so many times where it makes it hard to believe what you're seeing because you understand that the camera can't possibly be doing what it's doing. The fight scene in the beginning is a big problem for this.
Yes.
Fight scenes later, much better.
Yeah, the fight scene in the beginning, although awesome callback, I like it for the nostalgia, mainly, and also for Scarlett Johansson's choreography.
Oh, yeah.
She does a great job with that.
No, it's a good action scene, badly filmed.
Yes. The camera shots were way off.
Yeah. Because you're
even though I'm sorry to cut you, but even though individual shots where they were positioning the cameras had some good ones, when she's wall running, you have the camera from the top, and the slow motion, that works perfectly, but elongate that and don't do the other stuff.
Yeah,
for example.
It is this problem where like you're watching that shot and you're like, ooh, this is really cool, and then the camera moves in a way that is physically impossible, and you're going like, oh yeah, but it's digital.
Yeah.
Oh, it's animated. It's not an actual shot.
Yeah, but then you interlace it with actual shots that do even more fantastical things, which is you didn't need to animate that.
No, it's like, come on. And again, this is the problem. I'm sorry to keep beating on the guy, but Rupert Sanders has a feel for me that I've attached to a couple of directors before, and it's a term that I've heard used other places called gun for hire.
Yeah.
He's a working man director. He's not bringing style, substance, or his own flair to this. He's just doing the work.
Yeah.
And there's so many times here where they're just kind of like, oh yeah, people are having a conversation. What should we do? A one shot, two shot. Great. Yeah. Anything else?
Medium shot.
And then occasionally the cinematographer, locks Rupert Sanders in a closet and actually has a really good shot. Most of them stolen from the film.
Yeah, from the original 1995 movie.
There's a couple of great shots where like they're doing like these wide, very anime style kind of set piece visuals with a slow moving camera in and out. The cityscape shot, which is super famous from the original. When Takeshi has his post I have defeated my enemy thing in the garden.
Yeah.
Why Takeshi has a 6-shooter, I don't know. Why
it's awesome though.
It is awesome.
And he is definitely the man to have it.
Yeah. Why can it fire 12 bullets when he clearly only has 6? Don't know.
It's the future. Each bullet is 2. I don't know.
Something.
Yeah. You fire the outer bullet first, then the inner bullet.
Yes, very much like Dungeons & Dragons, sci-fi does have the rule of cool. Just keep following it and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
This movie breaks the rule of cool when it comes to Scarlett Johansson, but maintains it only for Takeshi Kitano.
Probably because he had more say. He was like, no, I'm not doing this scene if you don't make me do this and this.
What I really hope in my heart, and I hope this is true, is I hope Takeshi Kitano showed up the set with the hair from the anime, and they're like, no, we would just want you to slick it back. And he said, no. This is the anime. No.
Yeah, because it's so iconic. Like, why would you?
He looks awesome. I love it.
He looks amazing.
He looks like such a badass.
But yeah, no, fan edit of this where they fix the color grading and the soundtrack would make it infinitely better.
So in 3 parts.
Oh yeah, and some editing away of the theme.
No, exactly. Here's what you do.
Make it an hour and a half, basically.
No, not even that. It's easier than that. So here's what you do. Number 1, you color grade it properly.
Okay.
That can be done. Number 2, just use the original soundtrack. You don't even need to fuck with it. You just use the original soundtrack. You'll be fine. And you go in, and all the times they've ADR'd in the theme.
Oh, yeah,
just cut out those audio segments and fill in with soundtrack.
Sure.
We can just have a shot of Scarlett Johansson dealing with shit without someone in the background going, By the way, you're a ghost in a shell.
In case it wasn't obvious.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm doing the extra one. By the way, you are a ghost in a shell.
Because there's never enough
time.
To satisfy a woman.
There is never enough time to be a ghost in a shell.
That's what this movie was missing.
Yeah! Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Yeah. For him to bust in the room and just Scarlett Johansson be like, there's never enough time. Come with me.
Actually, you know what would be really, just at the end of it, like the movie's about to end and she's in her room and then suddenly he bursts through the door and says, "You are never going to believe this." Full Mario. Oh my god, that movie.
Yeah. But at the same time, like, you know, the final shot of the movie, it's good. Like, there's so many elements here that I was like, yes, this can be really, really good.
I think the one thing I will... other people have complained about this one specifically, and it's why it comes to my mind, but if you want an example of what I'm talking about with the visual style, there is a very clear one. There is a shot-for-shot copy from her waking up in her apartment, lying on the bed next to the window.
Yeah.
Here's the difference. Original shot, the window is so white and bright lit, she's doing it in silhouette. It is a super stylized silhouette shot with this ultra white offset by her, the black, against it, which is metaphorical and beautiful and a fantastic shot. They do the same shot here, but it's a woman in dark clothing with dark hair on a dark background.
Blue, actually.
Yeah,
like dark
blue. Dark blue. And it still looks good, but it doesn't have the punch. It doesn't have that oomph to it.
Yeah, like, it wouldn't take much to elevate this movie a lot.
A lot.
And then if you really want to elevate it to, like, obscene levels, I would say, almost, compared to where you started.
Yep.
Yeah, you're going to have to actually cut out a few segments. Maybe even throw in a few lines of dialogue from the animated movie.
Yeah, just do a little bit of something and get that bloody soundtrack out. I mean, the soundtrack hurt a lot. It hurt the movie because it is so understated and so kind of disinterested. Yeah, I would call it. It just feels like it isn't part of the movie. It doesn't feel like it's doing anything for the film, and that's kind of a big old anchor pulling it down.
Yeah.
Even the visual style I could kind of forgive, but there's so many times in this movie I'm sitting there going, why am I bored? Yeah, why am I not engaging with this? Because it looks great.
Well, the dialogue was but the soundtrack is the most important.
Yeah, but I mean, like, the action scenes. I mean, like, even the ones that are shot for shot pretty much remakes from the original property.
Yeah.
I'm kind of sitting there going, like, why is this so less effective?
Mm-hmm.
Why am I not excited? Why am I not having a good time with this? And it is the color and the sound.
Yeah, because you can even do musicless action scenes, but then you have to ramp up the sound effects.
You need to ramp up the sound effects, or you need to just,
which they kind of try to do in that one scene with the water on the roof.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But even then, just in the background.
Yeah, and again, when the actual hits and like with the punches and the kicks, not that impactful.
No.
So you need to, they need to remaster
I think
this,
that's the other thing I'm going to say a little bit is that this movie has a problem with deciding what kind of action it wants to do.
Yeah.
Because every action scene is a very different kind of action scene to the one before it.
Yeah, that's true.
And some of them are better than others.
Yeah, and that works in a series format because each episode is separate from the previous.
Its own thing.
Well, even if it continues the story, each episode is unique in the sense that, you know, it's a complete different story essentially, like you were saying. It's a segment, and so trying to mimic that in this movie, then you lose all sorts of cohesiveness.
Yeah, because the first fight scene is floaty camera. Pure slow motion.
Even though that would have been by far the most effective fight scene.
Completely. Yeah. But it was actually the least effective because of floaty camera nonsense and just overuse of slow motion, I would say.
And that is actually taken from the movie, the 1995 film, which is the most effective opening to a movie you've ever seen.
Yeah. And that's where the score is just right there. It's like... It's like
well, no, that's when they're making her, but then in the fight scene, it's a bit different. But the score is pumping.
The score is pumping, but anyway, yeah. And then second fight scene is in the club, which is ground level, fast motion, slow motion, fast motion, slow motion.
Which worked better.
Worked really well.
Because they had some interesting shots.
Yeah, I'm sitting there going like, well, this is very blue.
Yeah, that's the issue.
Is there any more blue?
Yeah, blue.
No, really, more blue.
A little bit of desaturated red in there.
Yeah, a little bit of, is there, worst part, cut to a scene which is all orange. Ooh, they're bringing it, no, we're going back.
No, we're going back.
God damn it, movie.
But yeah,
and then there is the fight scene on the the water.
Before that, was the shooting in the parking. No, with the truck. It's a continuation.
Yeah, there's a continuation, but that one really just started off like an episode of like a first-person video game. There's nothing. It's Battlefield LA. It's like okay.
All of a sudden, you're into the action.
We're in gray. Is it gray building? Yes. Is there brown? There's lots of brown. Excellent. Is everyone firing guns randomly and we're keep quick editing as if we're in a Paul Greengrass film? Yup. Oh, fantastic. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Scarlett Johansson with your invisible super suit and your magic guns. What are you doing? Oh, you're just running around.
Sprinkled in between, they had that cool shot. Remember when it was the
the running
shot?
Away scene.
Yeah, the running away, the drone shot, when you see the puddle and you see her in the puddle.
Yeah, and I'm like,
and then he steps on it. It's so good.
And I'm like, yeah, look at that. That's really cool. Wait, it's still gray? Damn
it. But yeah, no, so
desaturated nonsense.
So yeah, no, definitely this with a budget of over $100 million.
Yeah,
could have afforded.
Could have done a lot better at the post.
Yeah, it's mainly post that I have gripes with, because even if the movie is, I mean, like we were saying, the story is interesting.
Yeah, it's
convoluted, but it's very easy to follow.
Yeah,
they make it so deliberately. Which
they will draw you a diagram, hold you by the hand, and make sure you got a gift card.
Which is annoying, but you can sort of get past that if the other stuff was good as well. But that's the issue where it's not a.
It needed the style to pick up the pace, and the style, and this is the problem for me. For me, a lot of this kind of thing has to do with intention.
Yeah,
I am. More than you give me credit for, I am willing to be forgiving of good intention.
All right.
I can. I feel like if well-meaning, talented people working on little money, I am always willing to forgive. If you are doing the most you can with what little you have, awesome. I am right there with you. You go into those woods and you film that horror movie with the $5,000 you borrowed from a dentist.
Yeah.
Which is how the first Evil Dead was made.
Yeah, and it was great.
Love it. Here,
beautiful movie.
This felt, and I'm going to be harsh, but I believe it's true, this felt less like a stylistic misstep. It felt more like studio cowardice.
Yeah, no, it's definitely what it is.
It felt like cowardice. Because you're like, oh no, this property is frightening. We don't want to make it too extreme. And I'm like, come on.
And they usually do this with any sort of adaptation, especially from Japanese media.
Oh yeah,
where they water it down, they dumb it down significantly, and then they whitewash it, obviously.
Yep, as you do.
And they make it less impactful in that sense, which kind of sucks.
Yeah,
but yeah, I mean that's
why we're so nervous about Akira.
Yeah, but it's Taika Waititi. Like, you know, he might bring it. He does a lot. He does a lot
better with color.
A lot better with color. That's true. And Akira needs color because that is a dark movie.
That's color.
but Akira is a dark movie. Most of those scenes are in the night.
It's in the night, but it's neon and there's a lot of light.
Yeah, and
light
but
rays.
In animation, you decide how much red you want. Mm-hmm. For example, like on the bike.
Yeah, and Akira wants lots of red.
Yeah,
just give me that red.
And the bike is like really, really bright red almost,
and that's what color grading is for.
And that contrasts the rest of the dark scene. But
that's what the color grading is for.
Yeah.
God damn it, Ghost in the Shell.
And it's but like I was saying, it's such a shame because you can clearly see like, oh, there are some really great moments here.
Yeah, and there's there's nothing wrong with the shots for the most part.
Yeah, but like we were saying, the shots they're great because they come from the other media.
Yes. No, there's some, and that's the problem is that they fit in quite poorly because it's kind of like standard shooting. Ooh, look at that! And you're not looking at it going like, "Ooh, this fits really well." You're sitting there going like, "Oh, you stole that from somewhere."
Yeah,
I know
this
you.
Stands out.
Skajo Keyman took it.
Skajo. Hey,
give me that shot.
There's this guy. See?
Hey,
he took the shot. See?
That camera angle there, I'm gonna take it.
It's mine now. But yeah, so final rating.
Final rating.
Yes.
Oh, God. It's
I'm
hard.
going to let you go first, because I picked the movie this time.
It's hard for me, honestly, because it is exactly the kind of thing I struggle the most with, which is good material poorly handled and a strong budget wasted. You know, it's stylistic.
I'm 100%
There's so many.
on board.
There's so much stuff here, but as we always say, we do a 0 to 10, and 5 is
1 to 10.
1 to 10.
0 is a non-functional movie.
Yeah.
So 1
and
to 10.
And we always say a 5 is a completely average movie.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna give it a 5.
Okay.
For me, because it is. If it had been a lower budget, a less star-studded, if it had been a more of a passion project for somebody, I would have rated it higher. But considering the materials they had to work with, the stylistic cowardice is always going to be a big problem for me. It's something I can't get past, because once I see it, I can't get past it. At this point, the film never broke away from it. So the entire film, I'm sitting there going, you could be better.
Yeah.
You could be better.
Yeah, and that is the biggest gripe of the movie, is you could be better. And it wouldn't have taken much work to make it better.
No, that's also a big problem. It's like, you had it in you, the ball was in your hands and you were in the end zone.
Yeah.
All you needed to do was score the touchdown. Come on.
I mean, a simple fan edit would suffice to elevate it at least a point or two, maybe.
For
you, I guess definitely at 2 points.
Oh yeah,
if they did the color grading soundtrack and removed some ADR.
No, it is a color grade and a soundtrack away from a 6. It is one serious cutting down of the script away from a 7.
All right.
Because I'm sorry, you're a ghost in a shell.
Unless you didn't know it already.
Yeah.
Your soul, you're a ghost. That's my favorite line. You're a ghost.
You're a ghost. Wait, you're what? You're a ghost. We saved the soul. The ghost.
The ghost.
That again, this is one of those things where it's so distracting.
Yeah.
That the movie could be elevated by the color job and the soundtrack, but my God, the heavy-handed narrative is it's so hard to get past.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. When I first saw this movie, I would have given it a 7. I thought it was a good movie overall, but I think that was mainly nostalgia.
Fair enough.
For me, just because there are these... The highs are really high, but the lows are really low.
High. Spider Tank is always going to be a good point.
Yes, and I love the scene when she's... I don't want to spoil it, but you know the scene because you yourself said, wow.
I'm like, okay.
And the musculature and all that, the stuff that animated that, was beautiful.
Yeah, but because the movie hadn't drawn me in yet, all I'm sitting there going, wow, you animated that really well.
Yeah.
I'm not thinking, my God, look at that. I'm thinking, ooh, animators.
Yeah, and you know me, like I can latch on to that one thing.
Yeah,
so,
you're more forgiving.
Yeah. Well, it's not necessarily forgiving, it's just that even if it's a disjointed piece of work, I can latch on to certain things.
Yeah, I require more holistic
efforts. And so I think I'm going to give it a 6.
Yeah. No, and
slightly above average.
I kind of expected that.
Yeah, just because especially if you're a fan. Well, that's kind of a double-edged blade. If you're a fan of the original film and the series, you might appreciate the way that they stitched it together. You might appreciate certain shots because they're callbacks and nostalgic.
Yeah.
But you might hate it for pretty much hammering the message over your head again and again, and having a worse soundtrack and worse visuals.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing for me. Nostalgia can go one of two ways. It can either go, ooh, I really like the original property. This is kind of like that. Or it can go where I went with this movie, which is like, ooh, this is a lot like the original movie. I wish I was watching the original movie.
Yeah, and I think the only reason at this point I'm giving it a slightly above average is because had it gone for a even more brainless approach to the story, where they didn't incorporate the little relationships and stuff like that, had they made it completely generic, then it would have been obviously a 5, maybe even a 4 at that point.
Yeah, no, for me, if they'd gone full generic, it would have been way lower. There are little points here that elevate this, but the problem is that the bad points are so depressingly bad. Not terrible, but they're so obvious, so easily fixed.
And it's disappointing more than anything because you can see hints of greatness. Like you can see
that's
what could have been.
Yeah.
Not necessarily hints of greatness, but you can see what could have been.
Hints of quality.
Hints of quality is
and I think that's the thing for me. I think the low points are low. Like the low points for this in this movie for me are like 3s and 4s.
Yeah.
Whereas the high points are 6, 7s. So for me, it balances out to a movie that's kind of just average.
Yeah. For me, the high points go all the way up to 8 sometimes.
Yeah, exactly, and that's why you're willing to give it higher.
Like the scene when in the water fight scene when she walks up and then the camouflage goes away. That's so iconic. I'm just like, yes, give me more of this. This is what I want.
Where I'm sitting there going like, I want to watch the original movie.
Yeah.
Where's the original movie? Someone find me that.
We should watch the original movie.
We should watch the original movie. I love that movie.
It is good.
We'll do that on our free time though.
Yeah. Maybe not with...
No.
She would fall asleep.
Yeah, she probably would fall asleep or be
No.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen. So,
yeah, that was the final verdict.
I think we're done. I think we're good. Yeah. So, please, we are now on Stitcher, Spotify, and iTunes, and YouTube.
Also SoundCloud.
And SoundCloud. Please rate, review, comment, like, whatever you want to do, wherever you find us. We would hugely appreciate it. The best thing you can do for us, it's the early stages of the show, spread the good word. Yeah. You like what you're listening to, tell somebody. Yeah. Let somebody know.
Give it a share with your friends on Facebook. And, Yeah,
we'll always appreciate that. If you want to contact us, we are at sightonscreen@gmail.com.
And if you want to support us, and you can go to patreon.com/sightonscreen.
/sightonscreen. We are always open to, again, the biggest thing we appreciate is just spreading the good word, letting a friend know, sharing it on your Facebook profile.
Yeah, that is way more important.
That is the big thing for us. Yeah. We are not in this for the money.
No.
But if you do want to support us monetarily and kind of give us incentive to produce more content.
Yeah, but by all means, also tell us if you want something specific. Yeah, if you want a specific movie reviewed or if you want specific aspects.
Suggestions, comments, criticism, constructive criticisms are always welcome. If you're just going to shout at how terrible we are, we know.
Don't feel bad if you're shouting at me. I'm fine with that. But him, make it constructive.
Yeah, I'm the sensitive one. I might take it poorly. He's used to it. He likes it.
Yeah, I am a little bit masochistic.
You're a little bit on the other side of that.
A dominant masochist. Never has there been one.
Number one, there has, and number two, you're not a very dominant man. But
fuck you. There goes our PG rating.
Oh yeah, I broke that years ago. Yeah. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening.
Thank you for taking your time to listen to us.
Yeah.
And we'll see you again soon.
Catch you on the other side.